Um, 7 years ago, my best friend, Anthony Jones, Ant, as I used to call him, took his own life. Ant was a poet like me. Ant was bipolar. Ant was an alcoholic. Um, and it really affected me as a human being. Shortly after that, I entered into an extended medically treated period of very poor mental health, which I believe was largely driven by that grief. After my recovery, I developed a performance set, something like a 20-minute performance piece that is about grief and mental health. And what I'm going to do this evening is just share a couple of poems from that set. Two poems that I wrote for Anthony, maybe, or perhaps I wrote them for me. I'm not sure. The first was not long after his death. The poet and his friend walked so very close to each other. They were cut from the same cloth. They shared poetry and art and disagreed about music. They stared at the beautiful women, loved to pass the bottle. They walked so close they almost held hands, fingertips all but touching, separated by the slightest shimmer of a mirror. On his side of the glass, his friend walked one path, reason. In the poet's face, there were two reflected roads, one brightly lit and yellow bricked, one bitter dark and hell thought dimmed, paralleled into the flow. On occasion, his friend would join the poet in the sun. They would dance and sing, divine and document. Oh, how they loved and lived. Then his friend could step back into reason, scorched but uninjured, cooled. The poet found himself burned, cold, alone on the low road. His friend could skip through curtains, Janus in the court of Bacchus, power to protect himself, but never the strength for one shard-shattering osculation and the poet's salvation. So the second poem was written much later in my grieving process. Shortly after Ant died, we returned to Sweden to scatter his ashes in a small Swedish lake that was of particular significance to a lot of us and our friends. Unfortunately, we went there in March, and the lake was frozen over, so we had to scatter his ashes on the top of the ice rather than in the lake. But one of his friends, Jonas, reminded us all that come the summer, whenever we swim in that lake again, we would be swimming with Ant. I think the only thing I need to tell you else about that little lake is that when you are in that lake on a midsummer afternoon, when the sunlight hits that lake, it bounces off and it dances off the rocks, off the rock face and the birches that are on the banks of the lake. And you can only see this light when you're in the middle of the lake, when you're swimming. And they look like water ghosts as they dance across the trees. Bore da, Mr. Jones. Let's meet our hosts. I'm not too sure we have been here before. Swimming with Ant, dancing with water ghosts. Cool burned shins, scorched lungs, hot organ sclerosed. Snow fell as we climbed to the Trollsbryn shore. Bore da, Mr. Jones. Let's meet our hosts. Light burns but creates frozen stone outposts. Birch, ever swaying, echoes rah, rah, roar. Swimming with Ant, dancing with water ghosts. I miss your gentleness and our outrageous toasts. To spoken words, the merrier the more. Bore da, Mr. Jones. Let's meet our hosts. Now we will have our fun with Facebook posts. Teapot truth, my confidence to restore. Swimming with Ant, dancing with water ghosts. Bipolar sweet sorrow, brilliant artistry boasts. A great poet and lover of punk lore. Bore da, Mr. Jones. Let's meet our hosts. Swimming with Ant, dancing with water ghosts. Diolch.